Sa lahat ng mga sinubukan naming budget setup or budget format, bilang mag-asawang OFW, ang budget na ito ang pinaka-palpak, pinaka-epic fail sa lahat. Dito kami mas hindi nakapag-ipon, mas naparami ang utang, at mas naging karambola ang aming finances. Kaya isi-share ko po sa inyo ang lahat ng aming natutunan sa epic fail na budgeting format na ito para sana ang lahat ng mga pagkakamali namin ay maiwasan nyo. Good morning mga tangay. Welcome back to our channel. But if you're new here, I'm Janice. I'm a retired OFW from Dubai. Sa mga hindi po nakakaalam, kami pong mag-asawa ay nagtrabaho sa Dubai for almost a decade at kami po ay umuwi noong 2020. Ang video na ito ay part ng ating Usapang Pera series kung saan pag-uusapan natin ang pinaka-epektibong pamamaraan ng pag-manage na ating pera so that we can maximize our time abroad and retire on our own terms in the Philippines or elsewhere. That is our goal for this channel. So, if you're an OFW or may kakilala kang OFW, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so that we can exchange our ideas, we can learn from each other, and we can share with you all our learnings, tips and tricks, mistakes nung nasa abroad pa kami para mas maiwasan na natin ito. We want you to have a successful journey while you're overseas. We already made a video on the best budget setup or budget method that worked for us, and I itemized in that video bakit kami nagbabudget, sino nagbabudget, kailan, paano, ano ba yung pinagbabudgetan namin. So, meron po ako doong actual budget na shinare sa inyo. So, if you haven't seen that yet, I'll link it in the card above or in the description box below. Ang lakas pala ng araw, tumatama na sa akin yung araw dito. Atras lang ako saglit. Hahatiin ko po ang video nito into 4 parts. The first part would talk about our background sa aming pagbabudget and all those things. And the second would be the epic fail budget that we have, which I call the 70-30 budget. And then the third part would be our mistakes, no? The consequences at ang resulta nung budget fail na yon. And then the fourth part would talk about our learnings and then the things that we changed for us to have a better budget. Background, kami pong mag-asawa, we've been married for almost 11 years now. 2011 po kaming nagpakasal. At simula nung kinasal po kami, combined income na po kami lagi. So, ang kita ng asawa ko at kita ko, pinagsasama po namin at yun po yung binabudget namin. And we practice the zero-based budgeting method. And if you don't know about it, i-add nyo po ang inyong income, i-add nyo rin lahat ng inyong expenses at dapat pag minus nyo yung expenses nyo sa income nyo, ang target niyan, ang iyong result ay 0. Ibig sabihin, bawat sentimong pumapasok, naka-assign. Bawat sentimong pumapasok ay may pupuntahan. So, yun po yung zero-based budgeting. And if you want to know more about it, yung video ko po before this, diniscuss po namin yan. Specific yung zero-based budget. So, nung nag-asawa po kami, 2011, combined income na. So, ang ginagawa lang po namin, lahat ng expenses namin nakasulat at hindi namin kinukuha yung sarili naming income or salary. So, yung salary po namin mapupunta sa common household as common household income, and then kami pong mag-asawa ay kumukuha lang kami or binibigyan lang namin ng aming sarili ng allowance. So, may allowance yung husband ko, may allowance din ako. Yun yung mga panggastos namin, pambayad sa gas, and all the other expenses that we may have for that month. Please comment down below if you're doing that too. Kung kayo rin ba, nagbibigay rin ba kayo ng allowance sa sarili nyo from your salary? Share us your experience and then write them down in our comment section so we can have a healthy exchange and we can learn from each other. So, matapos namin bigyan ng allowance ang isa't isa, yun na yung panggastos namin. But, natanong ko naman yung husband ko kung ano yung mga pangangailangan niya, so mababudgetan natin yan for the next month. Ang nangyari po, so ito na yung epic fail. Pagdating ng February 2015, nasabi ng aking husband na sabi niya, parang pakiramdam ko, hindi ko nararamdaman yung sinasahod ko. Parang pakiramdam ko, dumadaan lang sa kamay ko yung sahod ko. Kumikita ba talaga ako? Sumasahod ba talaga ako? Bakit parang hindi ko maramdaman? So, basically, nangyari yun dahil nga iniintrega niya sa akin yung sahod niya. So, sabi ko, oh sige, ganito na lang. Experiment lang. Try natin. You can keep your salary and I can keep mine. Ang gawin natin, ilista natin. Ano ba yung common household expense natin? Yung mga fixed expenses natin, ilista natin and then mag-contribute na lang tayo doon. Yung iba, nag-50-50 sila nahati sa mga expenses sa bahay. In our case po, hindi kami parehas ng sahod ng husband ko. So, ang ginawa namin, kung sino yung may mas mataas na sahod, siya yung may mas mataas na contribution doon sa aming common household budget. So, expense. So, ang common household expenses namin ay umabot po ng 10,000 dirhams per month na andito na yung renta na 3,000 dirhams, ang aming reserve funds or savings na 2,000 dirhams, si OD yung aming hinuhulugan na kotse na 2,100 dirhams, ang aming family protection insurance na 1,400 at yung aming household expense which covers our utilities, our bills, and our food ay 1,500 dirhams. So, pag itatali mo yan, lahat po yan ay 10,000 dirhams. So, I contributed 70%, kaya sabi ko 70-30, no? 70% came from my salary and then 30% came from my husband's salary kasi hindi kami parehas ng income. So, we did it that way so that may matitira pa rin sa husband ko at may matitira rin sa sinasahod ko. So, in that way, hindi naman mararamdaman ng bawat isa na kitis sila. So, proportionate po. Hindi 70% ang sahod but 70% no common household expense. Once na mabawas na po namin yung aming contribution, yung natira, yun na yung aming pagkakasyahin. So, doon naman gagaling yung if you're giving to the Lord's work, so yung kanya-kanyang tithes and offerings, kanya-kanyang padala ng remittances sa family, sa Philippines. Ako, I was sending money to Malaysia for my mom and my sister. And then, kanya-kanya na rin kung meron kang phone bill, kung meron kang gustong bilhin, or may binabayaran kang utang, dun manggagaling yung iyong expenses. So, in our case, ako po, dahil talagang I'm a creature of a habit, I've been budgeting since I was in high school, no? Sinulat ko pa rin sa aming budget notebook. So, andun pa rin nakalagay yung budget ko dun sa salary na natira sa akin. Pero yung husband ko, sarili niya ng pag-budget. So, ang budget setup po na ito ay umabot ng isang taon. Isang taon kaming nag-budget that way, kanya-kanya. At after a year, ay nag-resign po sa work yung asawa ko. So, bumalik kami sa single income household at yung salary ko na ulit yung pinanggastos namin for the expenses of the whole household. Ang nangyari po, after a while, nakahanap na rin ulit ng work yung asawa ko and tinanong ko siya, sabi ko, kamusta yung kanya-kanyang pagbabudget? Okay ba sa'yo? Ano ba yung gusto mong budgeting method ngayon na sumasahod ka na ulit? At ang sagot niya, balik na lang tayo sa dati. So basically, yung 70-30 na budgeting or yung budget setup na yun ay hindi rin nag-work for him. Hindi ko na tinanong kung bakit hindi niya nagustuhan. Simply put, it was just not effective for us. Ganun din ba kayo mag-budget? Kanya-kanyang salaries and then contribution na lang? Or kanya-kanya and then hati na lang kayo sa expenses? In most households in Europe and in Western countries, actually ganun yung setup, no? But here sa Philippines, culturally, ay talagang iniintrega yung sahod. So, I don't know in other households, whichever is effective for them. Kung nagwo-work po siya sa inyo, go ahead and just do it. But in our case, naging epic fail po talaga siya sa amin at hindi talaga siya naging effective. Here's why. Nagkarambola ang aming finances. Ang hirap i-track nung income, outgoings, and all that as a household. That's first. Naging magulo masyado yung setup. Pangalawa, mas na-emphasize yung pagkakaroon ng feeling ng kanya-kanya. So, pera ko to, gagastusin ko dito. When in fact, mag-asawa naman kayo. So, mas maganda kung yung pera mo, pera nyo. Diba? So, mas na-emphasize yung pagiging kanya-kanya. And we didn't have a common goal. Hindi siya naging maganda for us kasi wala kaming naging common target or common goal na pag-iipunan kasi kanya-kanyang ipon. Pangatlo, we didn't have big savings and we didn't have a sinking fund. So, imagine niyo po sa savings, ang tinatabi lang namin ay 2,000 dirhams per month. Whereas, when we were combining our income, yung year before that and the year after that, by God's grace, we were able to save between 5,000 and 8,000 dirhams a month. Ang laki po ng difference. Next, hindi rin kami nakapagtabi ng sinking fund kasi saan mo ipapasok yun? Saan mo ilalagay yun? If you don't know about sinking funds, I explained that in our previous video, no po? Basically, if you have big items, just divide it into smaller chunks so that you can save for it every month. So, it's easier for you to save. So, wala kaming sinking fund for Christmas, for anniversary. So, ang nangyayari kapag darating na yung occasion na yun, parang kanya-kanyang hugot ulit kami, which for me was not very effective. And lastly, we were in debt for longer. So, kanya-kanyang, that time may credit card pa ako, no? So, may credit card ako, may credit card siya. So, wala kaming pakialaman pagdating sa expenses. And really, ayun, mas naging magastos at mas tumagal yung aming payments kasi ikumpara mo sa kapag kakumbine yung income nyo, dire-diretso kayo nagbabayad dun, ikumpara mo siya doon sa isa ka lang na nagbabayad at wala ring monitoring dun sa paggastos. So, what did we change? We changed the whole setup na pagdating ng sahod ng husband ko, he can transfer it to me anytime he wants, pero ita-transfer niya pa rin. So sa kanya, willing na siya, parang automatic na sa kanya na ita-transfer niya na lang. Kasi by then, meron na kaming common goal, meron na kaming common target, and kitang-kita niya, binabasa niya na rin yung aming budget notebook, nakikita niya na rin yung aming mga goals na naka-plaster sa wall. May allowance pa rin kami dun sa new budget setup, which I shared in our previous video. Combined income pa rin yung aming salary, at allowance pa rin namin yung aming natatanggap, no? Yung allowance namin, which is a portion of our income. And then, what did we change? We added a blow fund. Yung blow fund ay yung aming budget sa kung ano man ang gusto namin gawin para ma-enjoy yung aming kinikita, para hindi niya maramdaman na nakikita siya financially. So, sometimes we would put 500 dirhams, or if we want to have extra, then we will put extra as miscellaneous. So, nag-add kami ng blow fund, nag-add kami ng miscellaneous so just in case na merong mga unforeseen expenses that are not emergencies, meron kaming budget for that. And then the third one is we added a help fund, kasi napansin namin na sa budget namin, nung kanya-kanya kami, kung humingi ng tulong yung ibang tao, syempre maubos din yung sarili mong pera, no? Pero if you put a small amount and then you save it every month, then it goes a long way. At ang pinaka-effective po ay yung aming pag-shift ng aming perspective. So, na-shift yung perspective ng aking husband, na-shift din yung akin na we are a team. This is supposed to be teamwork. So, teamwork tayo, sabay tayong mangangarap, sabay tayong tututok sa ating pangarap. So, yun po yung mga binago namin. And so far, it has helped us a lot in managing God's resources, in managing the money that God entrusts to us. So, until now, tuloy-tuloy na lang namin yung budget setup na yun, na combined income, and then zero-based budget, and we budget before the month begins. We review after the year and before another new year comes. Kayo po ba? Meron na rin ba kayong budget na hindi nag-work para sa inyo? Nabago nyo na ba? Kung ano yung mga naging failures, mistakes, and learnings ninyo, mas maganda kung i-share nyo po sa comment section below so that we can learn from each other. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please click the like button, because if you click the like button, we will be able to reach more OFWs, and that's our target for this channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you very much for spending time with me. I'll see you in our next video.